Hi,
Hey there.
how are
I'm
you?
doing well. I'm doing well. Much love and great to see you.
Great to see you.
Yes. Awesome. Awesome. How has your day been going so
It's
far?
going great. How about you?
So far, so good. We're just getting started here. We just crossed into afternoon. It's 12 here in San Antonio, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Well, I'm excited to be here to talk to you today.
Yes, Stephanie. Yes, absolutely. And to my understanding, you're in Charlotte, North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay. That's amazing because I was raised in Columbia, South Carolina, so not too far away from
Nice.
there.
Oh, that's so funny. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
What made you go to
Just
Texas?
family, family moving around. My dad and all of his family, they still live in South Carolina. They live in Charleston and Columbia, and so being raised in the South, being raised around, just really Southern kind of climate, Southern culture, Southern consciousness, like when it came to like culinary, things with what we consume, the path that you're on, I haven't met many people from, the Carolinas that are on your path. So I was so interested when I saw this. I was like, wow, someone from where I'm from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. I love it. Yeah, I'm excited to share.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for those who don't really know a whole lot about you, Stephanie, how would you describe your journey and where you are now?
It's been interesting. I can say that much. It's been a roller coaster up until the last couple of years, I would say. I got sick in 2012,
Mm,
and I was diagnosed with a host of autoimmune diseases.
mm,
And it's funny though, because I went to the doctor just because I was feeling a little tired, and he said, "Let me test your thyroid." So I said, "Okay." And he did, and he said, "Your thyroid's a little low. Let's put you on some thyroid medicine and you'll be fine." At the time, I was in school and I got on this medicine. Within 30 days of taking it, I was like bedridden, like fully catapulted into chronic illness.
mm,
And yeah, and the journey really began from there because I went back and forth for like 6 months to a year with the doctor, trying to figure out what is wrong. And they just kept saying, there's nothing wrong with you. Your labs are perfect. This is in your head. Um, and that's when I just decided I have to take matters in my own hands. And I started researching diets, and from 2012 to 2015, I did every diet from the autoimmune paleo to keto to Ayurvedic. And I think the Ayurvedic diet was the very last one I did. And in the end, I ended up having blood work, and they did a urine test, and they were like, "Oh, there's sugar in your urine, like you're diabetic, like from eating all the rice from the Ayurvedic diet." And I worked with a practitioner locally who was like a doctor from India and was cooking the food for me. It was devastating. And at that time, I was having insane panic attacks. I couldn't function, the whole time, from 2012 to 2015, I'm essentially bedridden, can't function, have the worst anxiety in the world. Depressed, all the things that go along with, this kind of situation. And in 2015, after that happened with the Ayurvedic diet, I found Fully Raw Christina.
mm.
And I had just turned 40. I spent my 40th birthday in the emergency room because I was feeling so bad that, I mean, I can laugh about it now, but it wasn't funny then. I couldn't function. I felt like I was like having an aneurysm or something. My brain was just shut down. Um, so yeah, I found Fully Raw Christina, and I immediately overnight just went raw. It was just not even a question. And within like 2 months, I started feeling so much better. Like I couldn't believe it better. And that's really how the journey began. And then in 2016, I found the medical medium. At the time, he was doing raw food, raw juices and just raw food. And I had met with one of his practitioners who had kind of given me, a bunch of green juices and just raw meals and stuff to follow. And I was doing that with a bunch of herbs and stuff. And that's really when I noticed the biggest changes happening. And then, I continued doing that. And then in 2018, no, actually 2019, I had a mold exposure in our house. We had moved, and I got sick all over again. And it just like started, my whole body was just like really in a bad state.
Mm.
So I had to do more juice fasting and that kind of stuff. And then last year, I did a 100-day juice fast from January to April, and that catapulted me into a lot of health. Like, I'm still on the journey. It's never a destination, it's a journey. So, yeah, as of today, I'm much better. And, my kids are on this journey as well.
Mm.
They suffered from insane chronic illness.
Mm.
My oldest was born, he had severe asthma. He had like pneumonia, bronchitis. He was hospitalized often. And I also put him on a raw food diet, and that completely cleared up. He's no longer on any medicine. I know, it's so crazy the power of food. And my youngest had epilepsy,
Mm.
and he also was on a raw food diet, and the epilepsy is completely gone. He's been seizure free since 2000, and I want to say 2016, I think. Yeah.
Wow. So no seizures after that change.
No, and he's completely clear. And it's so crazy because the neurologist, we were originally from New York and we moved to North Carolina in 2010. And when we started seeing the neurologist here, he said, this is like 2010 or something. He's like, you need to go gluten-free and dairy-free. And I was like, I never heard of this. Like, it just wasn't a big thing then. And we started implementing that stuff in like 2000, I think 15 and 16, and the raw food diet, and just doing those things, and like heavy metal juices with like no heavy no heavy metal detoxes with juices and stuff, and that kind of stuff. Started like pulling stuff out of him, and he was seizure free within 6 months.
Wow. Wow. That
Yeah.
is that is amazing. Like what did it do for you to witness that not only in yourself but in your children, you know?
Oh my gosh. It gives me just such gratitude every day. And it pushes me forward on this journey, and it pushes me forward to share the journey, because there are so many people that are suffering and need help and have the wrong guidance. And I feel it's part of my job to share what I've experienced and what, other people can do to help themselves. Because for me, I was put on, the road kind of with Fully Raw Christina and the medical medium, but then I took the reins and, made it my own. And I think that's really important, because I think it's hard, doctors are good. If there's an emergency, if there's a heart attack or an accident, they're there to help, and that's important. and I feel like they certainly do have their place. But I feel like when it comes to chronic illness, I feel like they're not so sure about what to do. They don't have a solution.
Mm,
And the solution is medicine. And for me, it just wasn't the answer.
mm,
It
mhm.
never is because it's just a band-aid and it doesn't fix the problem.
Wow, wow, Stephanie. So you said you knew that you had to take it into your own hands. You knew that you couldn't just rely on the outside, someone to just tell you, okay, this is it, take this, have this. You said, no, I have to take
Yeah,
responsibility. Like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. It's responsibility and accountability because you're the only person. So for me, it's not just about the food. Food is part of the journey, but there's a whole other aspect of it. There's the whole mind, body, and spirit aspect of it, I feel like. And if you're focused on one area, you're not going to heal. It's like it's a round circle.
Okay. So it's more holistic. It's like a
Yeah,
whole, okay,
definitely, definitely,
okay.
for sure. Yeah.
Wow, for people who have never had those trials or challenges when it comes to chronic illness, autoimmune, or even like, panic attacks, like could you describe for someone who has never felt that, what does that even feel like to have a panic attack or to be going through that, you know?
It feels horrible when I feel like I'm having a panic attack. It's like it feels like my inner world is ending. Like I can't breathe. I can't think. It's like an outer body experience almost. I feel like I leave my body when that happens. It's just like it's so it feels traumatic when that happens, or when it did happen. It's super traumatic and I feel like honestly, I feel like I blocked a lot of it because and I had to work through a lot of it because I mean, I can remember driving in the car, not me driving, like driving with my husband and just going into sheer panic.
Mm,
Like saying to him, like, pull over, like actually feeling like I was gonna die. Like it was the worst feeling. Like he was driving, but I was just like, pull over, I can't breathe, like I can't go on. And yeah, it was bad.
mm, mhm. So when people are dealing with certain things that, the body is it's so it just blows my mind when I hear about these stories because it talks about the testament of our bodies to be able to, to just try, and all the time they're trying to keep us in balance, keep us in homeostasis, and keep our pH levels and everything, and going against all odds. But for people who are dealing with so many things and they might be unaware of what they're dealing with, and they haven't yet come to that point of no return that you came to, because it sounds like when you said, you turned 40 and you're in the emergency room, they say that some people don't make a drastic change until it's due to inspiration or desperation, you know so it sounds like you met both at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. It was from 2012 until 2015. It was coexist. It wasn't even living. It was just being here but not being here. I was just breathing, but I didn't feel like a person. I felt like a burden to my family. I felt like a burden to my kids. I mean, my kids were so young at the time. I mean, my youngest was in second grade when I got sick, and my oldest was in fourth. So I mean, it's like I missed all those years, of events with school and school trips and just all those important years. But my kids now are 18 and 21, and I'm happy to say that, we have an amazing relationship and we do so many things together. So I'm super grateful for that. I feel like there's always a silver lining. Like I had to go through all that to learn so much. I feel like before I got sick, I was just so living so unconsciously, like not understanding the true meaning of my life, why I'm here, what's my purpose. And as ridiculous as this sounds, I feel like I needed to get sick to find my purpose. And it's been, I know it sounds like crazy, while it's been a horrible like roller coaster, it's been also such a ray of sunshine and such a beautiful experience. Like I wouldn't change it for the world.
Mm, man, that really hits, that really hits home, because what you just said, Stephanie, is like having gratitude, being able to have gratitude, just
Yeah.
even though there was so much pain, so much turmoil, and like it was torturous, that sounded like you didn't know if you were gonna make it. You were wondering about like your family members, your children, like what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
and you're saying you're still grateful that it happened because
Oh, yeah.
wow,
It
who
grew
you are.
me up
Mhm.
in such a way that like I could never like even imagine.
Yeah.
Like it catapulted me into just the person I am today. And I could never, like before I got sick, I could never imagine myself being the person that I am now.
Okay. Okay. So, and I'm sure you've heard of the saying that, they say, let your food be your medicine and let your medicine be your food. So before 2012, before the thyroid medication and before all of these complications, what was your diet like before that? Like, what was your lifestyle like before that?
Um, I definitely ate everything, but I grew up in a Greek and Italian family, so I did cook a lot. I was not a big fast food eater. I've had McDonald's like maybe twice in my life. Like, just wasn't into that. The one thing that I can say I was into was pizza. Definitely love pizza. Definitely did a lot of like home cooked stuff, but I mean, meatballs and spaghetti, definitely big into pasta. Pasta and pizza, I would say, were like my biggest things. I was never a big meat eater. I did eat meat, but I was never like huge into it. Definitely love cheese. I can admit that.
Yeah.
Probably a big dairy eater, but not a lot of processed food. Yeah, I mean, I think I overall ate okay. I think the thing for me was that when I was born, like 5 days into my journey on this earth, I was sick with strep throat,
Mm.
and it started me on a pattern of constant antibiotics. Like I was sick for years with strep throat. Like I would have it on and off for from like birth up until like 16 years old. And the doctor was like, if you get strep throat one more time, I'm taking your tonsils out. And no joke, I never got strep again. And I would have it like 3 to 4 times a year, and I took a boatload of antibiotics. And I have to imagine that that's a very good reason why I got
Oh
sick.
man, geez.
Yeah,
So you were able to connect the dots. Looking back, you can
yeah,
see you put two and two together. You're like, okay, you know,
yeah.
saw the equation. It's like, okay, this happened, and then this. I took this, and I got that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's I mean, it truly is like I don't think we know any better. Like years ago we didn't know any better. Even when my kids were young, they both had bouts of strep. We actually took their tonsils and adenoids out, which now I realize shouldn't have done that, but we're here now, so I mean, we can only look forward, but I mean, and there's so much like more. I mean, I'm learning every day. I don't know it all. I do my very best that I can, and I'm constantly researching just to keep up on stuff and see what I can do, better to assist my body in healing. Right now, I do nebulize glutathione daily to keep my health up. I'm still on a healing journey. I mean, I think for me, it's a journey still. So I'm still doing things, but I do feel my best on a raw food diet, and I love all the energy that it gives me. It's just insane. And I think that there's many different ways that you can do a raw food diet. Some people thrive on fruit, other people thrive different ways. And I think it's just what works for you, you know.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
use the word thrive, instead of the word survive, like you
Yeah.
survive on fruit or survive on juices, because normally when people see, fasting or letting go of something to be longer lasting, they have a thinking like they're depriving themselves of something or restricting themselves. It has a feeling of restriction or constriction, like I'm just
Yeah.
surviving. But I like how you said we're thriving on this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think there's like so much food addiction in the world today. And I think that, you know, people can interpret things as deprivation and surviving. It's all about what you want in life, though. I feel like you can climb the ladder as high as you want to go. You can get to any level of consciousness that you want and that you feel good at. For me, I feel really high vibe and good on raw foods. It nurtures my body in such a way that cooked food doesn't. I mean, and there are people who eat cooked food who feel good on it. And my thought is, do what works for you, you know?
Okay. Okay. I love your honesty, and your transparency with this because it is a journey, it's not a destination. Like you said, it's an ongoing, continuous journey and a continuous learning. And, even when it comes to like going through these different realizations and different openings. Like I relate to you a lot, Stephanie, when it comes to the starchy foods, when it comes to pasta. Back in the day, I was all about pasta. I was eating, noodles. I was eating chicken Alfredo. I was eating fettuccine. I was eating, like linguine and the angel hair and like
Yeah.
all. I was the one at the macaroni grill when the guy was coming over and he said, "Do you need any more shredded
Yeah.
cheese?" And I was like, "Okay." And then he would do the thing and he would just keep going, like, keep going, and I was like, "Yeah, keep going." Keep going, and I was like, "Yeah, keep going." You
Yeah.
know, I was the one with just layers and layers and layers of cheese. So when you talk about, letting that go, was that one of the most challenging things to let go, or what would you say was the most challenging?
It was challenging to let go, but it was more challenging to keep it because it made me at the time feel so
Mm.
sick that at that moment it wasn't about what I wanted. It was about what my body needed. And my body did not need that at all. So, yeah, I, I just let it go. I mean,
Yeah.
it was hard, but for me, even today, like, yeah, when I talk about pasta, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's good. I mean, it tastes good, but it's my feeling is, and my reflection on it is, does this like help your body or is it hurting your body? And for me personally, it hurts my body. So I find other ways though. I love cooking, I love, or cooking, well, uncooking, shall I say. I love creating meals. I love being in the kitchen. It's such a passion of mine. So I love taking on the challenge of just recreating the meals that I used to love in a raw food form. I love doing that.
Yeah, it sounds like a playful form of creation,
Yeah.
You're like creating dishes, and it's interesting because at first it was almost tough for you to say like I love cooking because we're so used to the concept of just cooking,
Yeah.
Kitchen, you must be cooking in the kitchen, We just put the two together. But when you said uncooking and then just, recreating, it sounds even more like embracing your inner child, you
Yeah.
know, creating like an artist, you know?
It
Yeah.
really is. Food is art for me. Um, if you check out my page, all my food is just decorated beautifully, placed beautifully. That's the whole thing for me. It's not only about creating the food, because for me, I eat with my eyes first. So my food has to be beautifully plated and just, yeah, just so. And I
Yeah.
love that.
You know, Stephanie, when you said earlier that you went on 100-day juice fast, you said a
Yeah,
100 days, and
100 days.
was that last year or when was that?
Yeah, that was yeah, a year ago. Yeah, last January.
Wow. What was it like to like embark on that? Did you know you were going to do 100 days, or did it just evolve into 100 days?
No, I started out thinking I was going to do a 40-day,
Okay.
and then I just started it, and then I started feeling so good that I just continued and continued and continued, and I don't know, I felt like 100-day was a good round number to end. So, but yeah, it was really good for me. Like I felt on top of the world during that juice fast. Like my vibe was just so high.
Wow. Wow. And why do you feel like it got so high? You know that 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 it wasn't as high before, that during this juice fast, what do you feel like was it that elevated you so?
I think for me, it's like just giving my digestion that break. It's like giving my body that break, like not to have to digest and like just getting to my like full potential, like vibrationally. It feels amazing. I mean, I love juicing, and even now, like I usually juice in the morning and I do smoothies. I do eat, food, raw food, but I tend to do it more towards at night. But during
Mhm.
the day, I just love being like super high vibe and like, yeah, feels
Yeah,
really good.
I love this because, for people that are listening to this and are saying to themselves, wait a minute, what is she talking about? Like 100 days with no food? Like what? Like, wait, I thought after, like 5 days, aren't we supposed to, isn't
Yeah.
that it? Like, don't we just, so, did those ideas ever come in from yourself or from people around you?
Not for me because I'd been in the raw food world since 2015, so I kind of knew the deal. I think my family as well, they knew that, that I'd be drinking probably 3,000 calories a day and that it was safe and it wasn't, one of those juice fasts that are on the market where you buy six little, bottles of juice and drink. I was drinking probably over a gallon of juice a day, and I was super hydrated, super nourished. I felt amazing, like more amazing than I've ever felt in my life, honestly.
Wow. So you never got feedback that was negative, or from loved ones or from family members or from friends that were wondering about the safety of what you were doing, or wondering how you were still alive after 100 days?
No, because like I said, my family had already knew I was on the journey, and my mom, she lives here and she eats mostly raw food diet too. She does some cooked veggies and stuff here and there, but my family is like very well versed in what I do. And my immediate family, my oldest son is still raw, so he follows along the journey with me. My husband also did a 60-day juice fast last year with me, and he just did another 60 days and came off of it. So, yeah, not really. The friends that I had before I got sick, those friends are gone. Um, which, kind of expected, along the journey because you just become a different person. And the friends that I have now are into the things that I'm into the lifestyle that I'm into. So it's super supportive and it's really amazing. I'm blessed.
Hmm. Hmm. When you said that, those friends are gone, the friends that you had before, you felt healthier, before you felt more vibrant, before you felt more vitality, those friends are no more. So was it that you were a different person and they didn't recognize the Stephanie that you knew in their eyes, or it was just that you just were no longer compatible with that social group?
I think it's a combination of both, to be honest. Like, I think the person that I was, I mean, before I went on the before I got sick was just a very, honestly, self-absorbed, egotistic. I mean, if I'm being honest, because I don't know, I guess it's all I knew. Um, I guess it's what I learned. We learn, we do what we see, and that's what I saw, and that's what I became, and I see now how super incredibly wrong that was, and I've done a lot of work on myself. I've worked through all that, and now I think I'm a down to earth, loving, accepting person. Try not to judge. I mean, it's just try to accept everyone else's journey. Let everyone have their aha moment or not. It's all what you choose in life. Like you can live your life unconsciously if you want. It's a choice. I choose not to live my life that way, and there's nothing wrong with living your life that way if that's what you want. Um, it's not what I want. I want more for myself, and I always had wanted more, but I wasn't sure how to get it. I was going at it from the wrong perspective, whereas now I go at it from a gratitude, loving perspective. And I think that is what has made me successful in what I do.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting and it's very powerful what you say that it's done for your ego, for what you called self-absorption. You said you were more self-absorbed and more egotistical, and now kind of like those layers have kind of fallen away, and you're a new Stephanie now. You're in a new vibration, but you also have new
Yeah.
information. And, you know, to be able to forgive yourself for what you might have been, things you might have done, the thoughts you might have thought, or the judgment you might have had before. Was it challenging to give yourself that level of forgiveness?
Absolutely. It's a journey. I mean, it didn't come overnight. It took a lot of inner work for me to be able to do that. And, as I said before, it's a journey, not a destination. I am still working through stuff. I mean, it will never end for me. I'll always work through stuff because I always want to get to a new level of consciousness. I want to be at the highest vibe that I can because I feel my best when I'm there.
Right. And what about the compassion when it comes to other people? Because I know you said, everyone is on a journey, they're on their own path, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah.
But when it comes to having compassion for somebody who might be going through similar things that you've already gone through, and you might see having that, that sight, you can see like they might be facing certain things ahead, but you're still able to just let them live their life and just have their experience without trying to impress upon them that they need to do this or they should do that. Like, how are you able to just have that level of compassion
Because
now?
I have found that when doing that, people never do what you want. I've learned to lead by example. If you lead by example, people will watch you and they'll say, well, what is she doing? She's getting the results.
Right.
And it's taken a long time for me to realize that, but I have realized it. And that's why I'm actually here on Instagram to share my journey, not to push people into something they don't want to do. I'm here to set the example and for people to follow along. And that's my hope in having my
Yeah.
page.
Yeah, yeah. It's like when somebody sees, the joy, the love, just the gratitude coming from you. It's like I'll, I'll have what she's having, like,
Yeah, yeah.
let me,
No, it's true.
let me have that, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah. I,
so true.
I love that. I love that. How do you feel it changed your partnership with your husband, because you said that he has been on this journey with you as well and gone 60 days and 60 days in a row doing this. How has it, how has it changed your partnership in that way? How has it impacted?
It's definitely brought us closer. It's definitely, I think it's given us both more patience, like in our relationship, and it's taught me just, I think both of us, just to step back and let each other be who we need to be in the moment. Because again, it's a journey. Like, you can't tell somebody what you want them to do or who you want them to be. You have to let people be who they want to be. But the biggest thing for me is that I started this journey. He wasn't on this journey. He's followed along in it. And he's followed along in it by seeing me get the results that I need.
Mm.
And I think that that has changed our relationship because I think that he's open to more things now than he ever was. Just as far as like healing goes, as far as like spirituality goes, and that kind of stuff. Um, I think it's taken our relationship to a new level, definitely.
Yeah. What about the spirituality piece of it? Where do you see spirituality kind of coming into the fold?
Just every day in our life, like we meditate together. We we set goals together, we manifest together. We do, I mean, there's so many different ways that it comes into play, and it's just I think it's just part of our like inner core at this point and who we are. And I think we just totally operate from a different place. Whereas, like I said, before I was sick, we were operating from this place of just complete unconsciousness. Whereas now we're constantly like tapping in, like to see where we're at, how are we feeling, what's coming up for us. And I think in doing that, it's opened our relationship to a completely different level. Um, and yeah, it's really, for us, it's been really good. And it's really just, like I said, taking us to a different level.
Yeah, yeah. And it sounds like, you might have heard this saying, I'm sure, that when they say a family that prays
Stay
together stays.
together.
Heard that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in your, example, it sounds like the couple that meditates together manifests together.
Yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
meditating, manifest,
Yeah.
your things happen, you're creating magic with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, we are. And that's huge. I mean, you know, we've been married for almost 22 years now, and a lot of our marriage, probably I would say 12 years of it, was completely unconscious and just, you know, going about it in a completely different way, going through such hardships and all these experiences. And now it's not that we don't have hardships and problems. It's just dealing with them in a completely different way. It's just seeing each other in a completely different light. And I think that that changes the dynamic of the relationship in such a good way.
Wow. Wow. That is lovely to hear. I love hearing that because it sounds like it's not just the diet or the level of consumption, but also the reflection, the connection. And with meditation, were you always big on meditation, years before, or did you
Um,
just come into that?
no, probably in like 2017, I found meditation. Yeah. And then that really is when my journey started, like catapulted into more health than anything else. Because again, it's not just the food, it's mind, body, and spirit.
Wow. Wow, Stephanie, my eyes just lit up when you said 2017. That is the exact year that I discovered meditation.
Really?
I'm like, I don't know how these,
Wow, that's so crazy.
but the way that I came into that awareness was actually through this technology.
Yeah.
There were two during that time. and one was called Insight Timer, and the other was called Headspace. And so I just started meditating. I used these apps. I just set the phone down, a little timer, and I would just sit and, just go inward. Like they say, when you can't go out, go in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's when I discovered it, and it started to change everything.
I love.
So how the awareness in 2017?
Just through, I guess, research and, just finding holistic ways to heal. I embarked upon energy healing, and then that, of course, then led to meditation. Yeah, because again, the food was the one component of it. I needed to have the other components. So yeah, through research, really.
Right. So, it's done, it's like with all these components for your mind, body, and spirit, it's brought everything together,
Yeah,
cohe yeah. It's like it sounds like cohesion and coherence, you know.
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So if one piece was removed from the puzzle, it wouldn't be complete. It wouldn't be whole.
No. Yeah, I don't think so because I mean, like even with the raw food, if I was just doing raw food, I don't feel like, for me, I don't feel like that would be the whole puzzle. And then if it was the opposite way, if I was meditating but yet eating, regular food, I feel like, yeah, for me, it has to be the whole package to get that high vibe. I really like, I love being that. It feels so good.
Mm. What's also interesting when you're talking about being in that high vibe, like having all this abundance of energy, usually you will see, the average person, of course, especially here in America, where, you see Starbucks at every corner, you see, Dunkin' Donuts, you see all these places to kind of give us the stimulation of a high vibration, but it's almost like a simulation of a high vibration. You're not really kind of, you're kind of just jacked on the caffeine.
Yeah.
So when natural high vibe and you're feeling the energy that everyone seems to be wanting, everyone wants to have more energy, they don't feel they have enough energy, but now all of a sudden you have this wellspring of energy within you.
Yeah.
What did you do with all that energy, you know?
I started uncooking. I started making cookbooks. I started my social media
Yeah.
and just started sharing and helping people. And yeah, I mean, that's really what it came down to. Started, the art of teaching myself how to cook, uncook, shall I say, in a raw fashion, because my kids were raw at the time too. So I had to create these amazing meals.
Right.
And it's oil free, dairy free, gluten free, not like, it's like, how do you come up with this? And that's really what all my energy went into.
Mm. Because why I'm asking this is because, when we're looking for energy and we're getting kind of artificial energy from other sources and not from within, it can start to come to a place where for some people it's very uncomfortable to have all that energy, especially maybe even late at night when you feel like you can't go to sleep. Some people might say there's a feeling of restlessness, or they feel they have insomnia and
Yeah.
they don't want all that energy. They actually, like, why can't I go to sleep? Why can't I get more rest? Like, why am I up right now? Did you ever come with that
I think
conflict?
in the beginning, I definitely did. I didn't know what to do with all the energy, so that's when I started really digging. What can I do to use up all this energy? But I started exercising lightly, sitting in meditation. That was also one of the things, that's how I got started on meditating, was because at night, like, it was hard for me to sleep. It was like, well, what am I going to do? And then I would just sit in silence and start meditating. And yeah, it really helped with the sleep. And I think it's such like, part of the journey. It's figuring out how to be a new person is what I wanted to say. I couldn't think of the words, but yeah, I mean, it really is, because all of your old old ways and things that you used to do, they don't work anymore. You have to find a new way of being. And I think for me, it was like a new way of sleeping, a new set of hours to sleep, a new set of hours to do whatever, it is that I wanted to do. I had to find new hobbies, new things. Yeah, it was brand new. It was like I started from scratch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you gave yourself permission, you know? You
Yeah.
gave yourself permission to be awake. You said, "Okay, I have all this energy. What do I do now?" You know? I can't fight it, you know? I might as well invite it, right? I can't erase it,
Yeah.
so I might as well face it.
Yeah,
Like, embrace it.
that's what it's about.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be able to, in that moment, you might find yourself in those scenarios. You're awake, the whole family's asleep, you're still up, you're still awake, and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna use this energy. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna use this. I'm gonna take advantage of this instead of trying to fight it and being in frustration and flipping the pillow over 3 times and trying to force yourself to go to sleep. You usually stay awake longer, but you just said, I'm just gonna embrace this
Yeah.
moment. Yeah.
I did. I actually did a lot of journaling at night. That was super incredibly helpful for me to, yeah, that actually started my journey, like working through so many things, just journaling. Like, what am I feeling? What am I going through? Like, I never realized like all those emotions that I had like just stored inside of me. And that's like a huge thing for healing. You got to work through that stuff, and it's not
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Journaling is also a big one too for me as well in my journey. Journaling on your journey, that form of documentation, like
Yeah.
think and ink. You write it down. You don't just
I
leave it up here. You kind of.
I love that thinking ink. That's so cool. Yeah, it's so true though. I mean, the more for me, I'm just like my mind can go in circles. So the more things I can get down on paper, get out like my feelings, like the better off I am.
Yeah. And it also feels like a way of almost, if you're harboring anger or guilt or shame or even blame and just holding on to things inside that are kind of hurting your heart, you can extract that poison,
Oh,
through the pen.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, and to be honest, I mean I did for years. I still journal, but not I mean in those days I was journaling like daily hours and it was hard. Yeah. But I had to go through all that to come out on the other side.
Right, right. So have you found whenever you reflect and you look at your journals that you've written in, are you thankful for, the Stephanie before
Oh,
that now?
yeah, definitely, definitely, absolutely. Like I have walked through this whole journey with such the utmost gratitude, even though there are days like, not recently, but days in the past where I'd spend crying and just really
Mm.
upset. But if I hadn't gone through those days, I wouldn't be here today where I am. And right now, I'm in such a good place in my life, and I couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah, I resonate because there were times where, I might have been going through something and it's like a stressful time. And now I have these journals that I've written in. And so I can go back and the energy is still there.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
wow,
And
I went through that. Wow, I forgot I went through that. I already went through that. And it's like, I'm still here, you
I
know?
know it's so amazing. Like, what I find so funny is that people will be like, "How could you ever go through this? How could you like endure doing 100-day juice fast?" Or how can you? They just ask questions, and I think it's kind of, I love it though. But what amazes me is years ago, before I got sick, I hated hospitals. I hated sick people. I hated it. And it's like I feel like the journey was given to me to learn different. And if I have to tell you when I was healthy years ago, or I thought I was healthy years ago, like I would tell you then that I could never go through what I've gone through. Like I've been through hell and back, and it is amazing what I've gone through. And it has been such a struggle. struggle, but yet so rewarding at the same time.
Mm. That's a testimony, you know.
Yeah.
Um, no test, no testimony, right? You know, we have to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
the to have that testimony. You have to have the mess to have the message.
It's true. It's so true.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, Stephanie, if there's somebody listening to you right now, they're hearing you, maybe they're going through a similar, you know, autoimmune, you know, like things that have had them bedridden, or maybe they're on thyroid medication, or maybe they're doing things and they haven't really brought the idea of diet into the fold. They've never done a juice fast. What would you suggest for a person to take the steps? Like, what steps would you suggest to somebody who's totally new to this, but they're inspired?
I would say get a juicer definitely and start making even one juice a day. Like, because even doing one juice a day could change your life. One amazing, like celery, apple, turmeric, ginger, and lemon juice a day will start cleaning your body out. Start small. There's no reason to jump like all the way in and like have to go through the stress of giving up all because it's stressful, to give everything up. And I think the best advice I can give is just go slow, steady and slow. Like really wins the race. Like just like I said, one green juice a day and then up from there to maybe two green juices a day and follow people on Instagram that align with what you want and that really speak to you and are doing the things that you want to do because for me that was a big thing, and a big help is following people who are on the journey that I'm on and who give tips and tricks and just ways to deal with it. And the biggest thing too, so start with one green juice a day and then up it to two. Start journaling too. Journaling is, as we just talked about, it's such a heal all. Like just dive in slowly though.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. This is great advice, you know. Great
Yeah.
advice. Slow and steady. You know, no need to, like you said, no need to jump off a cliff, right? Just baby
Yeah.
steps.
Baby steps. Because I find for me, I had to jump off the cliff because I was like just so sick. But I feel like if you do baby steps, you'll get more success. And it's better received too from people who want advice and help to take baby steps. Give yourself a 30-day window, I would say, and start with one green juice, maybe one green juice a week, and then up it, to two green juices at 2 weeks. Or, get on smoothies. Smoothies are really healthy for you too. Just anything that can slowly transform you, into the version of you that you want to be.
Hmm. Lovely. Lovely. You know, it's like we didn't get here overnight, you know, so we won't get
No.
there. You know, it's a process. It was a process to get here, so it'll be another
Yeah,
process. Yeah.
absolutely.
So, you know, before we go, there was a couple of things that folks said down. There's been so much love during this conversation, Stephanie. People have just been commenting down here and spreading so much and just thanking you for your testimony.
Oh, well, I'm so glad. Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much. I love sharing my journey and my transformation, and I do it because I want to inspire anyone who's sick that you don't have to stay sick, that you can get healthy. There is help out there.
Right, right. So one of them is Nabiha. She says, my niece that her doctor told her that her thyroid was low the other day. The first thing I told her was to not take any medicine. He would suggest I give her herbal remedies now. So
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. Herbal remedies are
she,
awesome. Yeah.
she said, our health is our own responsibility. Yeah,
It
yeah.
really is, honestly. But a lot of people don't see it that way. They let, the doctors and other people, they think it's their responsibility, but it isn't. And once you learn that, I think that that's your biggest tool.
Mm-hmm. It's the one of my good friends, Steph. They said responsibility is the response to the ability.
It's true. Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kaya Kiran said, I have done 4 months on liquids. Even being on liquids is very powerful,
It,
they said.
yeah, it totally is. I love that.
Christy was asking, what triggers a panic attack and what are natural ways to help heal with them?
For me, there was no like rhyme or reason. They just came on like at always at like, I don't know. Yeah, I can't say for sure if there was an actual trigger. Of course, they were always at a bad time, but what is a good time to have a panic attack? There isn't. Yeah, I don't know what the triggers are. They just come on out of nowhere. For me, the best thing that I could do is just sit, like when they did come on, I would sit, just like roll up like a ball, like roll my legs up and just like bow my head down and just start like deep breathing. That's how I actually like just started like too. That was like 2000 like 16, 17, like with the whole meditation thing. That's how I kind of learned too. Just deep breathing really slowly because that will calm your body down.
Mm,
That,
calming
yeah, like
them.
breath work. It's really helpful and really good for you.
Okay. So almost like you were in the fetal position, like almost like embryonic breathing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that like actually like got me out of them. I mean, they were horrible, but it really did help
Okay.
a lot.
Okay. Thank you for that. And right before we go, if there's someone that wants to get in touch with you or wants to get in tune with you and maybe receive some of your offerings or anything that you have available for them, where would you suggest that people go?
Well, you can either find me on Instagram, obviously it's at Spread the Raw, and I can put it down below. And or my website, which is Numa, I'll put it down below too, numa-wellness.com. Um, yeah, those are the two ways to get in touch with me.
Awesome. Stephanie, this has been amazing. This has been amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much. And yeah, I'd love to do this again sometime. Thank you for
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you. Have an amazing day. It was so great.
You as well. You as well. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.